The views on a Breath of Fresh Air podcast reflects the parties involved, and we encourage you all to use it as a conversational tool that will lead to personal studies of your own.
Hallelujah. 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 Hallelujah.
Welcome to a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. As a young person, Christianity can be so foggy, like smoke in the mirrors and so unclear. But we're here to bring you a breath of fresh air.
All right, strike me. I can't do that. By the word of the Lord, strike me. This is a command from God. No, I'm sorry. I can't. I respect you too much. Okay. Because you have not obeyed the voice of the Lord, surely as soon as you leave here, a lion will kill you. Now, good day, sir. You there. Strike me. Thank you. King!
Man, stop. Let's see what's the matter.
Your servant, me, I went out into the middle of the battle and someone came to me with a fugitive and he told me to guard this prisoner. And he said, if he comes up missing, it's gonna be my life for his. Either that or I'll have to pay a talent of silver. And as I went about my day, I looked up and the man was missing.
I see. So this matter seems simple. So shall your judgment be. You have decided it yourself.
Interesting. Thus says the Lord, because you have let slip out of your hand a man who I appointed to utter destruction. Therefore, your life shall go for his life, and your people for his people.
Welcome to a riveting tale of 1 Kings chapter 20. In this chapter, we witness the clash of two kingdoms as the arrogant and boastful Syrian king Ben-Hadad sets his sights on the land of Israel. But God's hand is at work, and he rises up an unlikely hero, King Ahab, to defend his people and prove that with God, all things are possible. So come with us on this journey of triumph and redemption as we uncover the timeless lessons that can be learned from this epic confrontation. As always, be blessed and enjoy. All right, welcome back to another episode of a Breath of Fresh Air podcast. Here with your host,
Nakhaz Gay.
Earl Roberts, and we have a special guest today.
Philord. I thought you was gonna say it. You put on that radio voice.
Radio voice.
Yeah, it sounds smooth, bro. You straight.
All right, so we have a good friend of the pod, Steve. Went to school with us. Went to college with us. You should be doing this introduction.
Yeah, friend of the show. You know what I mean? One of my boys who admit to me that he used to like the show, then he fall off hard. Then he bounced back. He backslide at first, right? Then he bounced back and was just sharing it with a whole bunch of people.
That's crazy.
It's a few people who are my friends, bro, that they talk about the show like they had such a life-changing experience, bro. And I appreciate it, bro. So I was like, bro, we gotta get you on the show. You know what I mean? It's a few people who I feel that way about, you know. And anybody else, if you're interested, and if you can come to Orlando, you know what I mean? Just check in. We always want some guests, you know what I mean?
Yeah, definitely. We gotta start bringing our guests back though. We ain't had guests in a minute.
Real talk.
Last guest we had was Dominic, and that was a couple episodes ago. So we gotta bring back our guests. But yeah, man, definitely appreciate you stopping in, checking in.
Yeah, it should be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
It's gonna be fun.
before we even get like into the episode, I was reading First Peter. It was the Second Peter chapter 1, verse like 5, right? I was reading it this week and it just like stuck to me, so I'm gonna just read it again on the pod, and it says, and besides this, giving all diligence, add to your faith virtue, and to your virtue knowledge, and to your knowledge temperance, and to your temperance patience, and to your patience godliness, and to your godliness brotherly kindness, and to brotherly kindness charity. And what like stuck to me with that is because like usually you hear some people, especially a lot of young people, who say, man, I don't need to like, study more because I already saved. I got my faith gonna save me. But in the Bible itself, it's saying, add to your faith the knowledge. You know what I'm saying? Like, add to your faith these things. And just a quick point to like, some people who feel like, I don't want to say faith isn't enough, but at a certain point, you got to add to your faith. You know what I'm saying? You got to study more. You got to build your relationship with Christ. You got to build your relationship in the Word. You got to know more about the Bible as you continue on your journey of faith. Because at a certain point, you just feel like you're not going to be growing anymore. You know what I'm saying? So like you have to add to your faith all of these things that it says in First and Second Peter, verse 1. The 2 and the 1 and the same thing always trips me up. But yeah, man, like, I mean, because I've run into a lot of people say, yeah, I got faith. I don't need nothing else. I've got to read the Bible tomorrow. I've got to pray because I already got my faith.
Bro, that used to bother me, bro. That used to bother me, bro. Like, oh no, I don't need to read the Bible no more. But me and God, we have our connection. You know what I mean? I don't need to read the Bible. But I'm like, bro, if God is telling you something about him that you can learn more about him, like you wouldn't know that unless you actually read it,
And there's a lot of people who just don't know the stories of the Bible. I mean, like, through this pod, we're learning more about the Bible. I learned something this week from Genesis 2 that made more sense to me this week, studying like the Hebrew with some of the words being a little bit more depth. That changed my whole understanding of when God cursed Eve, what that actually means. And if I was never adding to my faith, I would have not learned that. You know what I'm saying? Because yeah, so it's like certain things you would just never know if you just stop studying. And like it changes your perspective on God's grace, his mercy, his justice, how things are more balanced in the world, you know what I'm saying? And it's just like, you just got to keep on adding to your faith, man. You have to keep on constantly studying God's word because, like, think about it. We did Genesis 2 way back in 2020. You know what I'm saying? That's crazy. Me going back studying something that we ain't covered in the pod in almost 3 years. Mm-hmm. I still learned something new that I already thought, bro, something else new I could learn from this passage.
Bro, even the first time we actually read Genesis on the pod, it was like, bro, what are the odds of you learning something in Genesis? Like, we should have passed out in elementary school, bro. Like, Sabbath school. Like, we know all of these stories, bro. Exactly. But then it's like, oh, wait. God himself came to Cain and tell him, if you do not do a good sacrifice, sin is at your door. It's like, hold on. So Cain was really out of line. So, like, it had more context and these certain things that you may have forgotten or may have never learned,
Exactly.
One thing I wanted to say on your first point, Revelation 3 verse 5, right? And I like Revelation because we know this is something futuristic. Mm-hmm. Some people believe it already happened. I'm not one of them, but Revelation we know it's a prophecy, and this is talking future tense. He that overcometh, the same shall be clothed in white raiment, and I will not blot out his name out of the book of life, but I will confess his name before my Father and before angels. So here, in this just short sample, Jesus, and this is Jesus speaking, by the way, Jesus is mentioning that this person that overcometh, regardless of what they're talking about overcoming, he's saying that I will not blot this person's name out, which means that your name can actually be blotted out of the book of life.
Ironically, huh?
Ironically, wow. You know what I'm saying? So future tense, Jesus talking about when it's time for us to get to heaven, to have eternal life. He's saying, you do X, Y, Z, I will not blot your name out. However, some people believe John 3:16, he that believeth shall have everlasting life. So as soon as you believe, that's a permanent name in the book of life. You understand? That's it. You don't gotta grow. You don't have to stop sinning, you don't have to like grow from your sins. You understand? Like people believe like you could be content in everything you're doing right now. You don't gotta completely change. Come just as you are. These things that we quote that ain't explicitly in the Bible. You know what I'm saying? And it's used in a negative fashion. Some people take these texts and they have confidence to live their life however they want to live, even if they are resembling the enemy by living their life. They feel like because I believe Jesus is God. That is all that's required.
Exactly. It was so funny.
I got out a point to that.
Yeah.
I was hoping
So, something Kazi say on this part all the time. Like the Bible is a full book, bro. Like the Bible is a full book, and the fact that people is often like you were saying, like they take a text and they just run with it, you know. And he really passionate over here about it, and I feel some type of way sometimes too because people just look at me and be like, "Well, in Youth Adventist, you have to do this, you have to do that," and they just take a text and just add that to my Adventism and whatnot. And I don't really like that. You see what I'm saying? But then when you read more about the Bible, and I've read the Bible cover to cover many times. Fun fact, and. No.
Okay, Mr. Bible guy.
What's crazy is right.
Stephen G. White.
Hold on, wait. Stephen G. White is crazy. What's crazy is right. I read it cover to cover so many times, but now that I listen to y'all podcasts and stuff, like y'all said, I learning way more now than I did before. Before I had to read it. My mommy used to go read the Bible, go do this, do your little book report, do what you're doing. But now that I reading for fun, I listening for fun, like I having a good time doing it, I learning so much more, and we ain't even halfway through.
Like you said in Genesis?
Hey, y'all should hear this man off mic. He's like, so what y'all can do when y'all finish the Bible? I say, oh yeah, 20 years from now when we finish the Bible, we'll cross that bridge when we get there. I wish we could have finished the Bible so we could do it again and again and again. But sadly,
At this pace?
And y'all probably gonna learn again when y'all go through it again.
because bro, truthfully,
It's a
bro,
good book.
some of my takes when we were in, I don't know, let's say Exodus, I don't share the same opinion before. Like, I remember I used to be so fixated on mentioning black people when we were in Genesis, bro. I was like, hey, God was black.
I remember.
I was like, no, I don't share that no more, bro. Like, for real, bro.
Yeah, the part is we had some interesting times, man. We had like a report card on characters as we were going through.
That was cool though.
That was
cool
fun.
though. That was cool though. Y'all funny.
I was thinking we should add segments, bro. So that way, if let's like on them times when we breeze through a chapter or just a quick chapter, we could add a segment or something.
Bro, we've been talking about we just gotta do it.
Yeah,
Like bring the report card back, bro. Because
we can do that.
Samson deserved that.
No, we can, okay. Samson deserve that.
Samson ain't my boy, bro.
I feel like a lot of people.
All right. So we can do this right now. So
chill.
Yeah.
Nah. So for me, I feel like Samson should have been like a superhero, bro. You see what I'm saying? As a kid, to me, like, when people talking about Incredible Hulk and all of that stuff, like Samson, bro. Samson. You see what I'm saying? Yeah. Samson, way. But like, just because he wanted to do his own thing and he was so selfish, I was like, bro, you could have do so much more, bro. Mm-hmm. If you just wasn't in your head, if you wasn't selfish, if you wasn't, and then everybody, I think some people is look at the end and be like, oh, well, he still do something good. No, bro, that ain't enough for me. I can be real with you. That ain't enough for me. In the end, because he could have been do something like that, bro. Easily, had he just kept his eyes on Christ the entire time.
Are you grading on a curve or are you grading based on like what was expected of him via God?
Yes, I think I graded him based on what was expected of him via God.
So what's more important? A person's journey at the beginning or at the end?
I think the journey to the end matters. Because in the end, like, we all working towards getting where to heaven, right? So that's our end goal. So I think the end matters more than the beginning, because in the beginning, we born in sin and, all that bad stuff.
I feel like Steve, he was one of them people in the parable, right? Who the worker hired from morning.
Yeah.
And people like Samson come right at the end and they make the same amount of money as you.
Wait, never wait. I'm mad.
But in the contract, you agreed to getting 1 denarii for your work. You signed that contract, bro. You're right. No, but I was doing this morning, But I'll tell you, like, remember our Sabbath school teacher at Hillview. light skinned fellow. He's an entrepreneur. I remember his name. That's your boy. I didn't like him though.
Chris Sawyer.
Sawyer, right?
Sawyer.
We was talking to Oni, cause bro, I used to come to church. I didn't like the fact that I, at the age of like 15, had to move to another church. You know what I mean? All the work I done put in that New Providence 7 days for this church, and now I gotta go to Hillview. You know what I mean? Like, I used to come to Hillview, but I used to look like I go to the mall, bro. I used to have on camel pants, polo shirt. I used to sit in the balcony when my mommy wasn't around, so I putting on my shades. I in church, bro. I in church normal, bro. And I used to be, my mommy them. I mean, if she could open the church if she wanted to, bro. Like, you know what I'm saying? They like be in church early, bro. Real talk. So we there, and sometimes we there before Sabbath school start, bro. That's how early it is, bro. Like for real. And so the only Sabbath school event that I ever attended, and I enjoyed it though. This is right before I went to Oakwood, and I was like, bro, y'all so cool, bro. I wish I wasn't being stuck up this whole time. But you live and you learn. But we were talking about Samson. And I was really getting on Samson. I was like, bro, how could this man fall for the same thing over and over? And so I was like, bro, I guarantee you, if you could talk to God or the devil, they would tell you that. Because Samson fell like 3 times, right? Essentially to Delilah. And he say, I assure you that there is a sin, a personal sin to you that you have fell over 10 times. You understand? Mercy. And it's an eloquent dude, like, you know what I mean? Like, it's clean cut, do it. And I was like, you know what? I going too hard on Samson. You see what I'm saying? And so when it was time for the pod, I had to wrestle with that. Because now when we read Samson the second time around, because remember the first time,
Our very first episode.
our first episode of Samson, now a year later, remember like Samson's here, we grew. You know what I mean? and so I reading this and I wrestling with this because I'm like, now I really understand the magnitude of your role, bro. To whom much is given, much is required. You were given a lot, bro. And you did not do a lot. You understand what I'm saying? And so, truthfully, I'm just like, bro, if we scale this to each of our lives, will we pass Samson in this grade? And that's why I asked you if we doing it based on human or if we doing it based on Lord expectations. You know what I mean? But
it's interesting though. Like one of my like questions through God, hopefully I make it to heaven. Because I want to ask God, like, did I live up to what you expected me to be? Because all life, we chose our free will paths, and you know, our paths, our choices lead us to where we are at that moment in time. But God also has a plan for us, right? And I want to know that, did I meet your expectations? Did I halfway? Did I 75% it? Because God knows our full potential. Like, God will be pleased with what we do. You know what I'm saying? But he knows, like, God knows, like, bro, like, if you take the parable of the talent, the master knew that each one of them capabilities, right?
According to that, yeah.
Exactly. So God knows what you was capable of. So like, at the end of the day, did I bury my talent in the sand, even though I probably could have doubled it?
I was giggling because I was like, but suppose God said, but you supposed to have been walking on water. You know
what I'm saying? It's like you read the New Testament, right? And like Christ told the disciples, even the things I do, you guys will be able to do and do even greater than what I did. I know, but sure, I ain't never cast out no demon.
Wait, what's this?
I ain't never healed no broken leg. I can't even heal my own guns.
It was a lady at my job when I used to work at the bank in the Bahamas, and they knew I was Christian, so you know we would just have convos a lot. And one day she quoted that line. I said, "Wait, that's not in the Bible, bro." I wasn't even aware that Jesus said, bro, y'all will do great things. I was like, bro, how, bro? Like, I'm like, bro, just don't even make sense. You know what I mean? But I was ignorant. I was speaking out of ignorance. You know what I mean? But that is what he said. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but I mean, like, God's willing. I would love to be in that well, I shouldn't say love, because I guess the certain stances would be kind of weird, right? But it would be interesting to be in a predicament where you are face to face with someone who you like ministering to when they actually need like divine intervention, and through your faith, like Elijah, we all have the like capability to actually perform a miracle for them. You know what I'm saying? And it's just interesting because it's something that we wouldn't know until we actually get to talk to God. Really? But it's a question, because God uses us, and I'm sure we've seen ways God has used us already in our different lives. I know I have, but it's like, to what extent? Because like, am I doing level 5 work when I really should be in college? Or am I really should be in grade 1, but I'm in level 5? You know what I'm saying? But it's just like, don't know. Don't know.
Bro. There's plenty of things I want to ask God, and I realize some of them really selfish. Like You know what I mean? Like, some of them really selfish, but you know, by the grace of God, I can't wait to get to heaven. You know?
We all get to heaven.
Amen. So without further ado,
We are in 1 Kings chapter 20. So last week we went over the story of Elijah.
Elijah, because they say we say Shah, but I know we say Jah. You see what I said? But I want to emphasize that. You know what I mean? Like,
Facts. So Elijah.
Tree too.
say what?
For your mommy.
She got a hold of her on that. I tell her one episode I give her time, but that's too much thinking, man. I gotta go.
All right. So we went over Elijah and how he ran away from Jezebel, who said she was going to kill him. And this was right after Elijah performed all of the fire from heaven and ran against the prophets of Baal on Mount Carmel. And so we see Elijah run away. God came to him. Well, the angel of the Lord came to him and said, yo, like, what are you doing here? And he said, I'm selfish for you. She wants to kill me. His whole speech or whatever. And then we see an earthquake happened, strong winds happened, a fire wind happened. But then God was in none of these supernatural events. But where was God was in a still small voice in the whispering of the wind.
Mm-hmm.
And then the voice asked Elijah again, what are you doing here? And he said the same thing, but essentially God was like, I didn't send you here. Go back to where? You're saying that, you're the only one left, but I have 7,000 people left in the city for you to go minister to who also have not turned away from me and worship the Baals. And then also at the end of that chapter, we see Elijah anointed Elisha to be his successor. Yeah, apprentice prophets. But in this week we are
7-day apprentice.
mercy. But this week we are in 1 Kings 20. I don't know if you want to switch the camera or is it 20 minutes or 10? 30. Bang. All right. So now reading from verse 1. Now Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, gathered all his forces together. 32 kings were with him, with horses and chariots, and he went up and besieged Samaria and made war against it. Then he sent messengers into the city to King Ahab of Israel and said to him, Thus saith Ben-Hadad, your silver and your gold are mine. Your loveliest wives and children are mine. And the king of Israel answered and said, My lord, O king, just as you say, I and all that I have are yours. Then the messengers came back and said, Thus speaks Ben-Hadad, saying, Indeed, I have sent you, saying, You shall deliver to me your silver and your gold, your wives and your children. But I will send my servants to you tomorrow about this time, and they shall search your house and search the houses of your servants. And it shall be whatever is pleasant in your eyes, they will put in their hands and take it. And so the king of Israel called all the elders of the land and said, Notice, please, and see how this man seeks trouble, for he sent to me for my wives and my children, my silver and my gold, and I did not deny him. And then the elders and the people said to him, Do not listen or consent. Therefore he said to the messengers of Ben-Hadad, Tell my lord the king, all that you sent for your servant the first time I will do, but this thing I cannot do.
All right. So, firstly, this man is what we call in the Bahamas brazen. Because, so this is how we get introduced to this gentleman. I don't think we spoke about the king of Syria this whole time. I think we were just talking about the Israelite king Ahab. We spoke about him for a few chapters now. But first things first, we see this king Ben-Hadad, right? He comes to Ahab, right? And he say, Yo, run me all of that, bro. And I talking everything. I want your children. I want your wives. You know what I mean? And Ahab was like, you know what? I'll oblige. I don't want no smoke, like how they say. I don't want no smoke, bro. I don't want no problems. I'll go. And then he's like, you know what?
That was too easy.
Man.
I ain't asked for enough.
I understand, man. Like, I want your servants things as well. I want everybody else things. You know what I mean? And Ahab looked like he was considering it. You know what I mean? But then he go on and speak to everyone, and it was like,
What you doing?
no, bro, don't go for that. You know what I mean?
Which is interesting, right? Because like the first time when Ben-Hadad made these remarks, why didn't you consult your elders the first time?
I don't get it, bro, because he asked for your silver, your gold, he asked for everything, you know.
Exactly.
But he was getting bullied.
Yeah, he was getting
bullied.
But it showed that he don't feel like he had the strength to defeat
Whoever this person is.
yeah. Ben-Hadad. Say whoever this person. He ain't even want to call him.
He exposed me. He's
scared to say.
I ain't do it.
He's scared to
I
say.
can do it. I can do it.
He's scared to say it wrong. Dude.
I ain't gonna say it.
You just gotta lay out there.
That's an interesting point though. Because we know David, so it's again, this like really goes to show the state of the army of Israel at this time. Because we know David had the army in peak fashion.
Yeah, it was a lot.
Solomon, the army he inherited the army from David.
Mm-hmm.
It started to get a little weaker, but it still was in good standing. But now we see come to Ahab. It's just a look at they have a political might, but their army might look it was vanished because his first thought wasn't even let's try to fight them. Like we know him and God ain't solid, but we've seen the Israelites with less saying we go into war against these people if God with us or not. Now they can get killed, but they would still say we go into war. He said, "You want to take it? It's yours."
But
surely it is yours, my lord.
yeah, it's yours.
What?
No, that's yours, bro. That's like someone put a gun on me. Let me get this watch. My watch is your watch, bro. You know, actually,
Real right.
it's yours, dog. I was waiting. I was wondering when you was coming back for this.
Only because he had the gun though.
True God.
Real.
True God. Under different circumstances, it might not be his. You know, I'll just leave it there. You know, but Ahab, but that's the thing. We know he ain't tight with God, right?
No.
But he tight with his God. He's a religious man. He's a very religious man. Let's just be real. You have temples for the Baals. You zealous for the Baals. See, you all want to kill the prophets and thing, right? But when a king come in for your things, you just you know.
That'll be it, bro.
Your dog, I know.
Mercy.
I know, but yeah, he surely was obliging. Like, I ain't want no problems. Dog, take everything. But this is my thing, bro. Like, you taking my family, bro. That's a. Like, I just don't know. Maybe I have too much pride. You know what I mean? But I can't. I rather you beat me and take that. You understand what I'm
Right, you
saying?
kill me and take that.
Yeah, real talk. Like you, I can't just give you that.
My
Bro.
wife and my kids, bro.
My wife. Plural.
See what I said? You
Plural.
taking everything.
He might even want to get rid of Jezebel though. I ain't joking. I
Mercy.
Yeah.
So we see the messages departed and brought back word to them. So in verse 10, then Ben-Hadad sent to him and said, the gods do so to me, and more also, if enough dust is left in Samaria for a handful for each of the people who follow me. They really like to say,
Swear to God.
gods do more so to me.
Yeah, to me.
So like, what?
You could have just said, like,
Leave
I
me
swear,
honest.
you know what I mean? Because Jezebel just made that promise.
Exactly.
And it surely failed.
Exactly.
Because it say, I think she said, bro, may the gods do it to me if I don't get you by tomorrow, right? But then it say Elijah, he ran away, and then he traveled 40 days. He said, so it's like, you surely did not keep your promise to the gods.
Not
You
at
know what I
all.
mean?
Not at all. So the king of Israel answered and said, tell him, let not one who put on his armor boast like the ones who takes it off. Which is like a funny weird saying from this guy who was so willing to just let it all go.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying, you getting cocky.
Yeah.
You wouldn't even win the fight yet. You
Yeah.
didn't even put your armor on and you was cocky, someone taking it off.
Yeah, dog. That's true, though. I mean, yeah, at
You wouldn't
least
even win the fight yet.
at least he getting a little bit of guts, though.
I want to know how the elders was carrying on to make him switch up like that.
But
You see
the
what I'm
elders
saying?
had sense, bro.
You see what I'm saying? Because
Like-
this a whole different person.
Little
low-key.
vibrato, little
You see what I'm saying?
vibrato.
Like he got a heartbeat now. Like
Yeah.
so he's acting different.
Which is interesting because I think at the same time, too, let's say, bro, think about it now. Like, first of all, you can tell this man, yes. But now, he ain't only saying, is one thing you saying, but you giving him all your silver and gold. the king promised to give your wife away.
Right.
What?
That's where you cross
Like,
the
how
line.
that makes sense. And then
That's how
when
you cross the line.
we say yeah to that, what next? He can take our land next, you know what I mean? Like, but it ain't to stop, bro. And if this is my thing, this is already the worst it could get, bro.
Yeah, I'm boxing against the wall.
You might as well fight, bro. Like,
Might as well go down on our own blade.
yeah, bro. So I know.
And so, in verse 12, and it happened when Ben-Hadad heard this message, as he and the kings were drinking at the command post, that he said to his servants, get ready. And they got ready to attack the city. Suddenly a prophet approached Ahab, king of Israel, saying, thus says the Lord, have you seen all this great multitude? Behold, I will deliver it into your hand today, and you shall know that I am the Lord. I can read the next verse because like a couple of my points kind of entwine. And so Ahab said, by whom? And the Lord said, and he said, thus saith the Lord, by the young leaders and the providences, by the young leaders of the providences. Then he said, who shall set the battle order? And he answered, you.
I mean, who?
So it's interesting, right? Because the first thing that's interesting is an unknown prophet. It's funny how just last chapter we learned about we learned about Elisha, but we also have Elijah, who was a well-known prophet, and Elisha, who's a well-known prophet. Oh, it's going to be a well-known prophet. It's a little prophet in training right now, right? But when we left off last chapter, they probably was not even near Samaria.
Probably not.
But what did God also tell us last chapter? There was 7,000 more people left in the city who weren't killed by Jezebel.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So we see an unnamed prophet right now came to the king. Because God, think about it. This was a message that Elijah most likely was supposed to deliver.
Yep.
You ain't where you need to be. So what God gonna do? God gonna find another willing soul who there and willing and able to deliver the message, even when you can't deliver it. Even when you were supposed to be the one to deliver it. God say, well, you ain't here. The message has to be delivered, and someone is willing and someone will be able to do it. Exactly. But now we see, again, what's interesting, like we already see like 2 chapters ago now, God performed this miraculous show to show all of Israel who he was. But going back to last week's episode, we see that Elijah still was discouraged because Ahab still clearly didn't believe that God was the one true God. But now we see in this chapter, God himself, via a prophet, saying, I need to show you who I is again. And it's interesting because me personally, have been saying like how come the Israelites can't recognize who God is, because he showed them works after works after works. But we seeing that, like, you can see it, but if you still don't believe, it means nothing to you. Because now we're seeing God saying, bro, I gotta come show you who I is again. And this is when we know this nation doesn't even deserve it, because they are not even following God right now. So if we go back to Judges, if this was a nation in Judges, these would be the people who should be crying out for help to God. We have no instance of them crying out for help right now. But God saying, you know what, I'm going to deliver you guys so you could know that I'm God. Not even them. No, like this first time, God was like, so you could know I'm God. Not them. I doing this out of the grace and mercy out of y'all, because right now I really and truly, well within my justice, could let y'all get captured. Because y'all don't even worship him right now. Y'all got more temples to the Baals than y'all do to me right now. And then we still see Ahab's lack of faith. By which army?
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, first of all, like, by which army? I was like, well, the army you got? I was like, and he said, well, okay.
Who can lead us?
God said, you. I was like, me? I need to sign up for this.
But hey, that's crazy. But another, I want to piggyback off that. One thing I do like, though, about this is I feel like sometimes, like, Steve is an Israelite, bro. And God gonna have to show me time and time again before I get it. And I was asking Kasi when I get you, bro, how much times you had to get beaten for something, bro? Kasi, I didn't Kasi say once. But me, I remember when me telling me something over and over and over again until it stick. Now I'm in a place where it's sticking. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah, I don't recall getting beaten multiple times for the same thing.
I used to get beaten. But
my mommy might beg to differ, but I really don't recall that.
I used to get beat.
But I do appreciate that
For the same
God,
thing?
Every Sabbath, because I never was going to stay in church.
Oh, I used to get beaten for talking too much in church, but that wasn't a lesson to learn, bro. Like, I can't stop talking. I just can't do it, bro.
Look at him now. Podcast.
That's what I said. That's what I was trying to show them I was different from the beginning.
Talented, bro.
Like, you can't judge an elephant by his ability to climb a tree, bro. Yeah, man.
And you right though. And you right though.
Come on, like, it just is what it is, bro.
So yeah, back to my point. So basically what I'm saying is like sometimes we could be Israelites, bro, and sometimes God literally have to do like this extraordinary thing or something small to get our attention. And I do like the fact that he revealed himself again, because it's like, bro, if God didn't come and help them, like you said, it would have been done up.
Mm-hmm.
He doesn't say, yeah, gone, take it,
Mm-hmm.
right? And that would have been it. That would have been the end of that story. But no, here God is trying to come back and save his people again. And we love that. I mean, I love that. I know what y'all.
Yeah, but God just like look at y'all. Look at you, bro. You was fighting to worship Baal. You was killing everyone, right? But it's like Baal ain't gonna get you out this. He ain't gonna get you out this mess, bro. Like
They didn't see the fire, man.
the prophet, right? The prophet come and say, yo, blah, 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 that said the Lord. And he was like, who? And he's like, but the Lord, bro. You know what I mean? Like
That's crazy too, though.
Verse 12, like verse 13, he says, have you seen all this great multitude? Behold, I will deliver it into your hand today, and you shall know that I am the Lord, right? Mm-hmm. So if a prophet coming to you and they saying, bro, God will answer whatever, right? You of one religion, you don't know which religion this is, right? You would answer by whom? Like who is this God? Who is this Lord? Who telling me X, Y, Z, right? But it's so interesting that Ahab don't even understand that, bro. Like who else could it be? It was the same one who we just say, bro. If God be the God, the real God is gonna be the one who brings fire from heaven to accept the sacrifice. Elijah just gone through this. You know what I mean? Another prophet come and say, yo, the Lord will deliver them into your hand. And he's like, who? And then your boy had to say, thus saith the Lord. You know, by the young leaders of the provinces. Then he said, who will set the battle order and stuff like that. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know.
You freaking out, man.
I don't know.
Okay, so in verse 15, then he mustered the young leaders of the provinces, and there were 232. And after them he mustered all the people, all the children of Israel, 7,000. So they went out at noon. Meanwhile, Ben-Hadad and the 32 kings were helping him, getting drunk at the command post. The young leaders of the provinces went out first. Then Ben-Hadad sent out a patrol, and they told him, saying, the men are coming out of Samaria. So he said, if they come out for peace, take them alive. And if they come out for war, take them alive. Then these young leaders of the provinces went out of the city with the army which followed them. And each one of them killed his man. So the Syrians fled, and the Israelites pursued. And Ben-Hadad, the king of Syria, escaped on a horse with the cavalry. Then the king of Israel went out and attacked the horses and the chariots, and killed the Syrians with great slaughter. And the prophet came to the king of Israel and said to him, go strengthen yourself, take note, and see what you should do. For in the spring of the year the king of Syria will come up against you.
Giving him the play-by-play. And it just hit me that I did interpret that wrong. When he was saying by whom, he was saying by who could fight the battle.
Who could fight the battle.
Yeah, all right.
But now we see victory won. God told them to play, what to do. We see the young men went out first, then the army, and then the king came out. Didn't even know he could fight, but he came out and did his thing. But
the way he was carrying on.
At the same time, God was with him doing. God already say,
I got you.
This could happen, and which is so interesting too, right? God already told you. This is a point for later, right? But God already told you what happened. You went out, and you saw it. Because think about it, this really like 32 different nations, a combined army out there. There's like you fighting the UN
by yourself.
Quite literally.
Boy.
No one's ain't really in your favor for real. But God said, you know what? You sit up, because God said you sit up large army out there. I got you. Y'all can go fight them. Ghazi's point ain't no Baal. Come tell you this ain't no Shemosh. Tell you this ain't no Ashtoreth. Tell you this. God sent his prophet and told you it was going to happen. But this still clearly ain't enough for you. Hold on. Are we recording?
Yeah, we were gone.
Oh, because I didn't see the lines.
Oh yeah, we just seen Yeah, we just seen talking.
Okay,
about
my bad. I didn't get scared. I got scared. I was like, oh Lord.
Yeah, you see, we just was talking.
I just want to throw a point in there too.
Go for it.
So what I like about this is, right? I like when God is flax, bro. Like he's showing you them gods y'all worshiping, bro. Because he did it with the fire, right? Now he doing it again. Basically, to your point, with your little country going against the UN. Ain't no way you supposed to win that. You see what I'm saying? But God got you, and God, and I think the thing about God is in the Bible, and I kind of love it, is like when he there, you know it's him. You know this you can't mistake this for nobody else, bro. You can't. And I think as he said on last pod, I think the God that they was worshiping was the God of like weather.
Yeah, 2
You see what I'm
points ago.
saying?
Yeah.
Right? And then God was like, okay, cool. Let me take that from y'all. Where they at? Where the gods at? You see what I'm saying? So I like when God is flax, and as a Christian, bro, you love that because this is the God we worship and the one true God.
But you know what's so crazy, bro? You go on TikTok, there is, it's TikTok, you could get into niches. I keep running across videos of this young lady who would say stuff like, the arrogance of the Christian God. Bro, and like to me, that really blows my mind. Bro, it really blows my mind. I can't even tell you a point because I don't even really listen, to be honest. I listen once.
Once you say that, I can't.
But it was like the first time I saw it was something to do with Adam and Eve or something like that, with the knowledge of good and evil. And it was completely ignoring, like how we were just talking, or was it you? No, my body is my boy, me and my boy Twigman. We were just talking about Twiggy, yeah, shout out Twigs. We were just talking about how somebody, they could have a intelligent theology, like this could really be like, it could make a lot of sense. And you got to it right, except you took one foundational text out of context, and then everything after that is wrong. It's like a math problem. You understand what I'm saying? Yeah. It's like if you mess up on that formula, you could do everything else right. You know what I'm saying? You could follow it to perfection, but your result more than likely will still be wrong. Sometimes you can buck up into the right answer. Still, but your result more than likely gonna be wrong. But it's like sometimes I'm like, bro, God, who created the world, He is literally the reason. He is the goodness in the world. He's the reason why we're alive today. All good things come from him, right? But if God flexes muscles in any way, people like, but the arrogance of God, that's why I don't like Christianity, this and that. And it's like, some people feel like, bro, because God deserves our praise, you know what I'm saying? And deserves our loyalty and just us edifying his name, or this God so self-centered type situation. But at the end of the day, bro, you could say something is self-centered when you have the perspective that this person might not have earned this scenario, but you have no knocks against God. Bro, if God created the world, if God sent his only son to make sure people can have a chance to be, you know what I mean? Bro, like, I don't know, like, just so you mentioned, like, you say God flexing his muscles, that remind me of that because some people really take it the wrong way when God in the Bible, when they read Bible stories of God making himself known, you know what I'm saying? Making his presence known and actually making an example of something. And people they completely ignore the fact that God's wisdom is infinite, which means he understands the outcome of the outcome of the outcome of the outcome, but he also understands if he doesn't do this, this is going to happen. Or if he do this, like he knows all options. You understand what I'm saying? And he makes the right choice every time, But I don't know. But in this case specifically, God saw it fit to show Israel mercy. To show, and when they was really saying, "But we don't rock with you, God." You know what I'm saying? But the Lord is good.
Amen.
Amen.
So now we are in verse 23.
You don't know, say I ain't lie.
Okay.
Yeah, we're in verse 23.
Bang. The servants of the king of Syria said to them, "Their gods are the gods of the hills. Therefore, they were stronger than we. But if we fight against them in the plain, surely we will be stronger than they.
Interesting. Seems legit.
So do this thing. Dismiss the kings, each from his position, and put captains in their places. We need real men of war.
Yeah.
No one look pretty.
These little jabronis ain't got that.
They was partying, man.
Yeah. And you shall muster up the army like the army that you have lost. Horse for horse and chariot for chariot. And then we will fight against them in the plain. Surely we will be stronger than they. And he listened to the voice and did so. So it was in the spring of the year that Ben-Hadad mustered the Syrians and went up to Aphek to fight against Israel. And the children of Israel were mustered and given provisions, and they went against them. Now the children of Israel encamped before them like two little flocks of goats, while the Syrians filled the countryside.
Mercy.
Then a man of God came and spoke to the king of Israel and said, Thus saith the Lord, because the Syrians have said, The Lord is God of the hills, and he is not the God of the valleys. Therefore I will deliver all this great multitude into your hand, and you shall know that I am the Lord. And they encamped opposite each other for 7 days. So it was that on the 7th day of the battle was joined, and the children of Israel killed 100,000 foot soldiers of the Syrians in 1 day.
Wow.
But the rest fled to Aphek into the city. Then a wall fell on 27,000 of the men who were left.
Sheesh.
And Ben-Hadad fled and went into the city, into the inner chamber. Then the servant said to him, Look now, we have heard that the kings of the house of Israel are merciful kings. Please let us put on sackcloth around our waists and ropes on our heads and go out to the king of Israel. Perhaps he will spare your life. So they wore sackcloth around their waists and put ropes around their head and came out to the king of Israel and said, Your servant Ben-Hadad said, Please let me live. And he said, Is he alive? Is he still alive? He is my brother.
Bro.
So let's just stop there.
Yeah.
Let's just stop there. So where am I gonna start from? We go back from the top, right?
Yeah.
We see God already told them. When we go further up, God already told them, hey, they're coming again in the spring. Surely enough, they came again in the spring. And God, and what's still so interesting, right? We see God doing this to still prove to Israel that I am your God. You know what I'm saying? Like, he still ain't saying, oh, they say I'm just a God. Like, they're saying I'm God's father. I'm going to prove to them I'm God at everything. No. I'm doing this to still show you that I am Lord, which is still so fascinating to me. And God said, I don't have to do this, but clearly y'all still ain't believe that I am the Lord. But then now, to the action, the Bible laid up the imagery pretty well. Small, tiny army.
Like two little goats.
Exactly. And a whole countryside full of an army.
Countryside ain't small, buddy.
Not at all.
It ain't small, buddy.
Not at all.
I mean, they say they killed 100,000.
Exactly.
That ain't small.
So quite literally, we know at bare minimum we had 127,000 men out there. Because 100 get killed in the plain.
Sure.
And 27 more run to the city and the walls falling on this Jericho.
Mercy.
But then now back to this king. This my brother?
Instantly, that's your brother.
This man just want to take your wife, your children, your slave children, your...
Everything, bro.
Your
And
son,
he would
your
believe you.
gold.
Everything, bro. He
Like-
wanted everything.
Brother? What? No,
But ain't
man.
nothing brotherly. He come here to kill you, bro.
This ain't no Philadelphia. Like.
Real talk. I don't know if Ahab was aware. Real talk. I know if Ahab was aware, but Ben-Hadad came there to kill him. I don't know if he knew that though. I'm sure if he knew that, bro.
I just trying to figure out how we get through all that though. Please. Yeah. So I just trying to figure out like how even get through all of that to even. And then the thing is, right? You mentioned that he probably was there to kill him. But how you so cold, bro? You just watched this man destroy your army twice, bro. Right? Twice in a miracle type fashion, bro. Like that's crazy to me. You still trying to challenge this person when you clearly know that someone on this by side that I cannot defeat.
But if someone get through your head though, they God is the gods of the. But you might think I get no. I been there. Sis. if your advisors or your servants already told you, bro, because this is the thing, y'all probably vastly outnumbered them to begin with, right? Or maybe y'all was equal, but y'all know they was punks. They wasn't really no big fighters or whatever. But they beat you, and you're like,
Twice.
Wait. No, the first time. And you rocking your brain. You like, wait, how do you win, bro? How do you win, dog? Like, it don't make sense, right? Because it was a miracle. And someone say, wait, no, it was, bro. Like, you wasn't thinking it was a miracle. You just was like, wait, how did that happen? And someone say, bro, they win because they gods are the gods of the plain of the hills,
hills,
of
right.
the hills, bro.
Yeah.
And you already believe in a bunch of other gods.
Right.
So
and you would be like, that makes sense, bro.
You're right.
There's
You're
no
right.
way.
That makes sense.
You
When you
understand?
explain it like that.
And so that's why they level up. They get they pull all their resources and they like, but no, but we could do this on the plane. You know what I mean? For real. And initially it was like 7,000 Ahab's like men. Like this was not a lot of people, bro. I can't imagine that it was much more than that. Like after a year, like what you could do, bro. Like, you know what I mean? Like unless you hiring mercenaries or something. But what's interesting to me though is that the prophet came and say, I will deliver them into your hand. Right? This was God's plan. And you just was living in it because you didn't have a plan. You was going there hoping for the best. Really? But now, this man come, like, he put on his sackcloth and he tied the ropes around him and he showed remorse. To which you like, come here, bring it in. You my brother, bro.
I feel it. You definitely did change my mind because early on I was like, I probably would do the same thing. But now that we actually going through it, I looking at it like, nah. I probably would have killed him on sight though.
Probably, but at the same time, too, what you're going to get into is like, you got to think about it as a king. The power dynamic has shifted now. So now, what can I get out of you? Because you was trying to take everything from me. So now he looking at it like, all right, what can I get out of this from you now? You done suffered two of armies. You done suffered two defeats at my hand. With a smaller army, he ain't giving God no credit, clearly. So he's saying, oh, this guy coming to me, the power dynamics are shifting now. I's the big boss in charge. Let me see what I can get from you.
Yeah, but it's just interesting because it's like, to me, what would it take for Ahab to really, give God the glory, you know what I mean? Or to be converted to God is my question, really. What would it have taken for Ahab to be changed?
Man, that's a powerful question because his wife had such a huge influence on him.
Oh, for sure.
That's why you gotta marry the right one.
Yeah, for real, because like you could see where spouses disagreements among spouses, but that could be a lot, especially biblically. Jacob and Rachel, you understand what I'm saying? And Rebecca, not Jacob, Isaac and Rebecca. That's what I think about. Where they disagreed upon who should have the birthright. You understand? That caused so much turmoil in their life. But Rebecca was correct because the angel came to her and said the younger would rule over the older one, but she take matters into her own hand, etc. But you could see throughout the Bible, dog, like even when Joseph and Mary wasn't on the right page, at least Joseph was righteous and saying, man, you ain't making no sense, but I ain't gonna make no public example of you. You feel me? Like, a lot of times, bro, that person can make or break me, and Yana is talk with us all the time, bro. Like, there are there's a number of Christians Christian women, right? They marry someone who might have been a Christian, but at some point in time, their spouse convert to the Nation of Islam or Hebrew Israelite and stuff like that. And we know you wasn't into that before, but sooner or later, they convert to following the ideas of their spouse. Or they could have just been unequally out from the beginning and just married someone who wasn't like in the faith, But Yana pointed out to me, bro, like it is very common for the spouse to convert, like the woman to convert to what their guy believes in, and you could see like that. You could see the kind of influence that you have on one another, like as a unit.
That's like an undeniable fact, and I think that's what Ahab's real crux is right now too. Like, bro, because God coming to you personally and showing you all these things, and again, it's like the works versus the still small voice. But arguably, I still think as God, like this, the king of God's people.
So we know the Holy Spirit constantly just working on him. But he can't see past it because his wife got all this influence on him and this hold on him. And even when we get to next chapter, we're going to see Jezebel going to do a whole bunch of foolishness again. But again, it's like that constantly influence that you're living with, that you constantly have to please as well. You know what I'm saying? So for the sake of peace, you don't even know what they have going through. For the sake of peace, I'd be like, all right. Whereas God, like he can't he can't like yield to God, because if yielding to God, he can't yield to his wife. And so it's interesting. And we could have the argument on the pod versus like, should he just be the man and stand up? But that's a whole different argument for a whole different day. Because one could argue that's what he should be doing. Like, he's the king, but the influence his wife have on him is just almost unescapable at this point, as we can see.
But it's like, even when she in here, like, this who Ahab is at this point, bro. Like, I know who he was before, but right now, this who you are, bro. Because you making these decisions unprovoked.
And then, and then too, it's like, Ahab take off this daddy, because remember, his daddy was the first one to even get Israel really like
into that Omari, or what do you name it?
I'm gonna butcher it. I ain't going on to Steve.
I definitely ain't saying it.
But so now to continue. So now the men were watching closely to see whether any sign of mercy would come from him, and they quickly gasped at the word and said, "Your brother, Ben-Hadad?" Like, woo? And he said, "Go bring him." Then Ben-Hadad came out, and he had come up into the chariot. And Ben-Hadad said to him, "The cities which my father took from your father I will restore. And you may set up a marketplace for yourself in Damascus, as my father did in Samaria." So we see Ben-Hadad come out trying to say, "Bro, you got me. Let me try bargain for my life." Unprovoked.
He reasoned it.
And look at this too, right? At the beginning of the chapter, I was taking everything from you. Now, I trying to give you what you won't even ask yet. Here's what I can do for you. Here's what I can do for you.
But he ain't even opened his mouth yet.
Exactly. But he
couldn't give him terms.
He done come to charred reasoning. And then Ahab said, "I will send you away with this treaty." So he made a treaty with him and sent him away. And then in verse 35, I think we can just power through and talk afterwards. So let's see. Now a certain man of the sons of the prophet said to his neighbor by the word of the Lord, "Strike me, please." And the man refused to strike him. Then he said to him, "Because you have not obeyed the voice of the Lord, surely as soon as you depart from me, a lion shall kill you." And as soon as he left him, a lion found him and killed him. I realize lions like to be killing people and kings.
And prophets.
Lions is be killing people and kings.
And it's always be related to our prophet.
And he found another man and said, "Strike me, please." So the man struck him, inflicting a wound. Then the prophet departed and waited for the king by the road and disguised himself with a bandage over his eyes. Now as the king passed by, he cried out to the king and said, "Your servant went out into the midst of the battle, and there a man came over and brought a man to me and said, guard this man. If by any means he is missing, your life shall be for his life, or else you shall pay a talent of silver." While your servant was busy here and there, he was gone. And the king of Israel said to him, so shall your judgment be. You yourself have decided it. And he hastened to take the bandage away from his eyes, and the king of Israel recognized him as one of the prophets. Then he said to him, "Thus saith the Lord, because you have let slip out of your hand a man whom I anointed to utter destruction, therefore your life shall go for his life, and your people for his people." So the king of Israel went to his house sullen and displeased, and came to Samaria.
Mercy.
Sadred.
So what's your thoughts on the ending?
Okay. Yeah. So when it come to Ahab, I didn't realize that he was kind of using this boy as a bargaining chip, like Ben-Hadad. I thought Ahab just was being merciful when he shouldn't have been, and it reminded me of Saul when Saul was with the Amalekites, and God was saying, kill everyone, and he like, no, Dread, I can kill almost everyone, but I keep some trophies too. You know what I mean? Like
that buying of sheep that I have.
Yeah, and so even when Ahab said that's my bro, no one was on the same page as him.
No,
you know what I mean? But Ahab was thinking, was probably thinking about the long history that well, the history that his family had with Ben-Hadad's family. Omri is the name of his father. I just call him back.
Okay.
I know it wasn't that far off, but in Kings, I don't know if they speak about it in Chronicles, they don't go over a fight with the Syrians and the Israelites during Omri's reign, and they briefly mention Omri. You know, they talk about him, his idolatry or whatever. But other than that, we can see by how Ben-Hadad reacted that that's probably with Ahab. That's probably is his motive. Like let me squeeze this, you know, get the most out of this situation, you know. But it does appear, and you know, the Bible don't get too deep into the details, but considering the fact that there were no righteous kings, right? And we have where God do a big solid for Israel right now, right? You would think that would have there were no righteous kings in Israel, I should say. You would think that would have an impact on Ahab's life or change him in some type of way, or even him just be appreciative of God, you know, but it doesn't go on to say that he was thankful for that. You know what I'm saying? Like the next thing we hear is that, you know, he talking to the king and the king negotiating something. And then the prophet come in him and say, yo, all right, since you wanted to keep his life so bad, your life for his life. You know what I mean? Type of situation. And Ahab, I know he just is a tricky one for me. Like it a little confusing. A little confusing to me.
I think it's interesting too, right? Because I think this is like an instance where back to the story where we had like, you know, a prophet against a prophet, the old prophet versus like the younger prophet. And I think this imagery is actually kind of poetic because again, a lion ate the man who didn't like listen. But the reason why I say that is because I think this is an instance where God probably gave Ahab more instructions that weren't related to us. Because we could clearly see that in the end results. Like we weren't specifically told that he was supposed to kill Ben-Hadad, right? But in the
way it turns out, the aftermath, yeah.
And then think about it, it makes sense because we could look back at Judges, all of the like first like the beginning part of like, you know,
Genesis.
Everything like when God gave them the city to kill, y'all supposed to kill the king.
Destroy everyone, yeah.
Y'all supposed to destroy everyone. God was saying, I'm giving you this victory to lay waste to them. I will deliver them to you. God never say, make a treaty with them. And back in Deuteronomy, don't make these treaties with these foreign kings. From way back then. You got a point?
My bad. Continue your point, bro.
So now we see Ahab, and it's okay, like even to finish this next point, right? So now we see Ahab made this treaty, which he knew he shouldn't do because everyone else was shocked that he was doing this, right? And when he coming back, it's clear that he was kind of avoiding the prophet. It's something else you got to kind of read into because now look, what's the first thing he do? What's the first thing the prophet do? The prophet didn't come to him as a prophet originally. I need to disguise myself as someone who was in the fight.
He even gonna get hit and all, bro.
Go on, but think about like, and probably in this, what's you know, like Ahab avoiding us. If Ahab see me come in, probably either could kill me or he could probably go the next way. Not hear this message because he already know what he did was wrong.
Right.
He disguised himself as someone who was in the war, and then relate a parable as someone who was in the war, like what Nathan did to David,
yeah,
and make you pronounce your own judgment. Where's the judgment that this person deserved for this crime? He said. So now he said, guess what? This is what happened to you because you was given the instructions and you didn't do what you were supposed to do.
You sentence yourself.
You said
That's crazy, bro.
That's what it is.
Sometimes that's how this be, bro. But you know why this? All right, we can use context clues. The prophet, like in the text, we don't have an explicit message that say, kill the king. However, and this is why I was like, oh, I just had a light bulb. The chapter before, Elijah already anointed the new king of Syria. Let's think about that now. God already have it in his mind that someone else is going to be on the throne in Syria, right? But what happened to the old king, you ask? Oh, he about to go to war and he about to lose, right? So it's like God already ordaining the progression of the people. He say, all right, God know Elijah about to go to heaven soon. You know, God know Ahab about to be repaid for his sin soon. You know what I mean? God know Ben-Hadad about to go soon. You understand?
Right.
So anoint the new Syrian king, anoint the new king of Israel, and you go anoint a new prophet. That was just last chapter.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so now Ahab really just getting in the way. Like, I give you this win on a silver platter. You understand what I'm saying?
Clowning.
God probably anticipated Ahab's demise in the future from now. Because remember, David was anointed, but he didn't get to reign for a while after that.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Long time. Right.
But now, God is saying, oh, you just speed up the process now. Because someone was supposed to die today. You know that, right? Like, and guess who about to, not today, but you just signed your own death sentence right there, you know?
A king should have died today.
Real dog. And so since it didn't happen, that's going to be your judgment. You're going to go.
Yeah, man. Like, so it's, got something to say?
It ain't as powerful as y'all know, but imagine you walking down the street.
Whoa. This ain't a powerful contest.
Oh, my God. Neither.
That's the Bible, man.
But like,
Your belt of truth.
but no, bro. Imagine you walking down the street, bro, and someone say, "Punch me, bro," and you don't do it, bro.
No, that's a good point, though.
You
That's
see what
a
I'm
good
saying?
point.
That made me so uncomfortable.
Aaron, let's be for real. Let's be for real. Some people
I'm
don't.
not punching you, bro. That's weird, bro.
Some people don't want to have these conversations. Bro.
I was so uncomfortable.
I am sure there's more to the story. Because sometimes when you read Chronicles and or when you read the prophets, you get a more well-rounded understanding of what's happening.
Like,
I can give you an example, bro. In the book of Genesis, it seems like God has a very short fuse with Israel.
right.
Like they worship the calf and God like, I'm about to kill all them, right? But then Moses like, no, you slow the anger, you compassionate. But then you saying, how could the one who trying to kill everyone for one offense be slow to anger? And then you read the book of Ezekiel, when Ezekiel say, I visited the Israelites while they were in Egypt, so this before Moses, and I tell them to put away their idols. They did not.
Right.
But I still decided to emancipate them because I had a treaty with I made a promise to their fathers. So now if you consider that God had already spoken to them multiple times before and they denied it. When we get to the golden calf, it's like, okay, I could see why you act that way. But when you just read in Genesis, bro, unless you make it all the way to Ezekiel and get to that chapter, I think it's like in the 20s, I think maybe Ezekiel 23, somewhere around there. But, and it's the chapter where it say, I also gave you my Sabbaths. If y'all just want to Google that, just Ezekiel, I also gave you my Sabbaths. That can get you right to the story where I'm talking about. And so if you just read the Exodus account, which comes first, you would be like, boy, God is a hard head, you know. And that's how a lot of people think. That's all. But it's funny because the prophets always say, God, you are slow. That's what Jonah said. Yeah. God, I wanted you to kill me, man, because I know you was gonna forgive them. I know you was slow to anger, all that, you know? And so that's sometimes the context I have to add to the Bible when I see something like very irrational like that, because I know God, it's the same like Balaam. Balaam, the people, the surrounding nations of Canaan, they believe that Balaam just was a wizard who, if you say someone curse, they curse. If you say someone bless, they bless. But behind the scenes, you know, when they curse or bless, Balaam have to go to God. And Balaam have to request this of the Lord. So now we see a prophet of the Lord who sentenced someone to be eaten by a lion because they disobeyed his command.
Well, and the thing about it too, right? Because now, the reason why, I mean, I appreciate y'all giving them some bail, but here I could take the bail back on my end, is two context clues, right? How I read it. He said, this is the first, we know this man was a prophet. Yeah. And he also said to his neighbor, who one could argue in between, who was another prophet or not. Because he said this guy's from the sons of the prophet. You go back and you go into 2 Kings, they talk a little bit about this group. It was like a bunch of group of prophets. We know there were prophets still there outside of Elijah and Elisha, right? So he said to his neighbor, who was also probably an ex-prophet, strike me by the word of the Lord. You know what I'm saying? So now this literally me saying, bro, God, I have a mission from God. I tell you to do this. I ain't just saying punch me off air. Because no one really wants to get punched off
bro,
air. But I tell you to do this by the word of the Lord. And you saying, no, you ain't doing this. So right now, you in direct opposition and you disobeying what God told you to do. And this is why I say it's like parallel to when the old and young prophet. It's the same punishment what happened to this prophet.
That
You get
makes
eaten by a
sense. That
lion.
makes sense.
Definitely is.
That makes sense. That makes
And
sense.
so if we use that context, it makes complete sense. The point I'm making is, in a nutshell,
Yeah.
it's like the evidence there, bro. That see when I read this, I believe that he was given specific instruction from God to strike this boy when he asked you to be struck.
Probably
and
did.
you denied it.
And
So
he
you
ignored,
so you
yeah.
just like, wait, I say no to God. You understand? It's like Uzzah, right? We see Uzzah touch the Ark of the Covenant and then just die, right? But you would say, that ain't right, boy. That ain't cool.
ain't right.
But then till you realize, hold on. The Ark of the Covenant was in your brother's house, was in your father's house, and they know that they supposed to lift this on their shoulders. They know that. And so the fact that you're not lifting it on your shoulder, you putting yourself more at risk of touching it, and then you end up doing it. It's like when we walk through all of that, it's like, okay, no, it ain't that abrupt.
it
You know what I
ain't
mean?
cutthroat.
It don't seem unjust because this was a very preventable death, bro. But you disobeyed God, and and it cost you your life. You know what I mean? And so if we use these context clues, if we go precept by precept, we could assess that this other man probably disobeyed God and it cost him his life. I do agree. But if we just take it, this the first time we ever reading this text, it's like, come on now. Come on now.
I was a little nervous because I was like, what if I was that man? I was gonna hit him.
Because that's how I feel too. Because I like, wait, you telling me, come to me, true God, and
Just tear off,
and
like,
wound me? I like, man, I don't know what this
that's
is.
a
You might
little
be
fishy,
freaking,
bro.
you might be freaking out, but I ain't getting in that, bro.
fishy, bro.
Yeah, and then you can say, I touched the Lord's anointed. I don't know. David can come out of nowhere and try. I ain't into that.
Bro, and then you go about your day and you see a lion, bro.
You're like, hold on. Let's talk about this. Let's talk about this, bro.
What's really going on there, bro?
Oh my. Oh my.
Yeah, that interesting. That interesting. I ain't lie.
All right, so got a question for y'all.
Okay, go for it.
How often do you think we as Christians follow Ahab's way, where we put our own selfish ambitions in the way of what the Lord told us to do?
I think that's very common, you know, bro. I mean, even certain times when it's like a emergency, we see when people willing to compromise God's law, you know what I mean, or they show a lack of faith. Like I can use the example of like working on the Sabbath, you know what I mean. Some people who are, you know, Adventists, you know, they understand the significance of the fourth commandment. They say, I can lose my job if I stop working on the Sabbath. You understand what I'm saying? Or I can't provide for my kids. You know, you put your ambitions before. A lot of people put their ambitions before God very often. You understand what I'm saying? And I think that's Ahab's main thing. His ambitions was greater than his appreciation for God or any deity. You know, all right, you get me here. All right, well, I can cut you off as soon as possible. But we see that in the movies, bro. Somebody help you get all the way to the end, right? But now it's like, we gonna split the treasure chest 50-50, or if I kill you, or if I cut you out, it's 100% for me. You see what I'm saying? And so that's Ahab. He end up trying to, you know, he end up being an opportunity. He see a situation where he could have taken the fullness of it and use it for his own benefit, and that's what he did. It reminds me of Balaam, bro. Balaam had an opportunity to be used by God, you know, to bring the message of God. However, he saw opportunity lied in the gray area where it's like, I can still get my way out of this, and that is what I'm gonna do, and that's what happened. I feel like a lot of people, we just gotta be self-aware and humble, bro. Because a lot of people, I believe a lot of people feel more highly about themselves than probably God would say, you know what I'm saying, or other people would say. Because if you ask everyone, like you ask the average person, nobody's gonna admit that they're a bad person. Even if you show them a mirror of like the sins
All
that
the
we
things
commit
we've been doing,
yeah, you know what I mean? They said, that don't make me a bad person though.
They used to do that on 3AB, and y'all remember that little segment when they would go on the street and be like,
you thinking about TBN?
TBN?
Yeah, they did that. Don't put that on 3AB. They're too self-righteous.
So they used to go on the street and be like, are you a liar? And the person would always say, no, I'm not a liar. They were like, well, have you ever lied before?
And then
you see what I'm saying? And that's what we do.
But I used to come on like God. I used to come
After
on
church,
deep
man.
in the Sabbath though. It used to be like
After
4
church.
p.m. or something.
After church.
Like when you might be sleeping, taking a Sabbath nap. Yeah, I used to come on.
Yeah, bro.
I see the mind nap or going right. And
But you, like Kazi said, bro, you just gotta be self-aware. And like I in that place where I used to be selfish, man. Because like Kazi say, when I first started watching y'all, I was just watching us y'all as my boys.
Mm-hmm.
I wasn't watching for the word.
that was a lot of our friends.
You see what I'm saying?
true.
I was just watching us y'all, and then I fall off, and
Didn't appreciate
then
the support though.
then my back against the wall. I can't turn to nobody but God now.
Mercy.
Now I need to find a new way to fall in love with God again, and I start listening to the pod in a different light. So much so, I got a study Bible for Christmas for my best friend. Like things like that start happening.
Amen.
So like as you said, once you self-aware and like you doing this wrong thing, just try to fix it one step at a time, one day at a time, and over time, you would see that you fall in more in love with Christ each and every day.
Amen.
But it reminded me of Solomon too though.
Okay.
I was trying to find the best parallel. God bless you. God do you a solid and helped you a lot. It spared you from embarrassment and it allowed you to do your job well, right? And then afterward, you use it for your gain. Solomon, his first order of business when he spoke to God was like, "Yo, God, I ain't know. As a young man, I don't know how to rule these people. Bless me with wisdom." And God was like, "You know what? I like that. I can bless you with wisdom and I can give you everything a selfish person would ask for too." So Solomon had everything. Solomon had it all. You know what I mean? And yet he used it to disobey the Torah or disobey Deuteronomy and the law. Basically, he broke the law of God. He did that. And this is in writing. This is for early First Kings. You know what I mean? Like probably like chapter 10 or something like that. And so it's like we see how this turned his heart away from God. You know, God tell him don't multiply your wives, bro. But then he want over 1,000 women in this rotation. You understand what I'm saying? This excessive.
He's a wild boy.
And it's get to the point where it's like, bro, wait, I find it hard to believe he wasn't purposely trying to mess with God, bro. Like because you can't.
You going too far.
You can't even meet all these women, bro. Yeah, like how you do that, bro? How you do that, bro? A new one a day, or like how you do that, bro? Like
For 3 years.
yeah, for 3 years, and you just keep doing it again, like every year.
I don't understand.
Like for real. And so we see how the end is. But Ahab is a man who come like, but let's just be real. I just ain't into God. I just don't like you, bro. Like I don't like you. Like I see everything you could do. I see your power and all that. I just ain't into that. You know, and that's how it been with a lot of secular kings in the Bible, bro. Pharaoh saw the same thing. You understand? Who else? This we ain't get there yet, but the king of the Medes and the Persians during Esther time. When Mordecai, Xerxes, like when he gets saved, he was like, "No, I issuing a decree, bro. Ain't none of y'all can disrespect the Hebrew God." You know what I mean? Like this the real one, but we ain't hearing where these people actually convert to worshiping the God. We know of Nebuchadnezzar. Nebuchadnezzar get it for real. Like God was like, bro, you ain't. If you can't hear, you can feel, bro. He ended up being a beast for 7 years and. After that, it was like Nebuchadnezzar, like, no, I ain't playing. No, I know who God is. You know what I mean? Like, for real, bro. I ain't get you that.
You can feel.
Real talk. You see what I'm saying?
Exactly.
And that's how I view Ahab. Ahab, I feel like has made it a point in his mind that, bro, you could show me everything in the world. I just ain't into that. I watch I think a non-denominational Christian debate on the street with a Jehovah's Witness.
Interesting.
And he was talking about, and this boy, he been to theology school, all type stuff. Like he gets busy, bro. Like you understand? Black dude. And he was telling them how we are going to come to different understandings because in your Bible, it says specifically this. But this is not how the original texts were written. You know, it was talking about in the beginning was the word was God. And so he was basically trying to say, bro, Jesus is the creator of the world. Jesus is the Son of God. Jesus is not a prophet. Jesus is not a man. Jesus is a God, bro, that came to earth in human form, XYZ. And it got to a point where the dude was just like, bro, I mean, I just don't agree that's just not what I believe in, you know? And we talk about how the Holy Spirit is the one to change hearts, right? But at the end of the day, you could put, even as human beings, you could lay everything out. You could lay everything. I could lay everything out to Steve the way Steve would appreciate something. At the end of the day, we can't force Steve to agree. You could lead a horse to the water, to the well, but you can't make him drink type of situation. This was Ahab's opportunity to drink from the word of God, bro. To drink from God, bro. This is his opportunity at the well.
And he had a lot of opportunities.
And he had a number of opportunities. He had opportunities where he was not given grace, where he was on the opposite side, where he was the king of Syria, so to speak, in them scenarios, right? But now this is the time when God riding for you. God saying, right, I can show you grace and mercy, but you ain't showing Elijah, bro. But you ain't showing none of the prophets. I can show you how merciful and loving I am. But Ahab, that just ain't him. That just ain't him. And it go down to Book of Genesis, bro. Free will. It go down to free will, but how much God could give you all type of signs, bro. And God has given us signs. That's the thing, bro. A lot of people feel like, but if God real, but he ain't never show me. No, he show you, bro.
Multiple times.
He show you multiple times, bro. Your eyes wasn't open, or you just ignore it, bro. Straight up ignore it, you know? And we have that ability, and God loving us so much, he give us that ability. You can love me if you want to. I want you to love me. But you gotta want to love me. Ben-Hadad, king of Syria, was attempting to extort Ahab, the king of Israel. And while Ahab obliged at first, he decided to stand his ground. When it was time for battle, a prophet approached Ahab and told him that the Lord will grant him victory in this battle and the next battle to come. However, Ahab disobeyed God by sparing the king of Syria. And because of this, it was prophesied that his life should be taken in the place of Ben-Hadad. But we'll talk more about that on the next episode of A Breath of Fresh Air. Tonight's episode included voice acting by Steve Philord, as well as your hosts, Earl Roberts and Nakhaz Gay. Remember to go ahead and research on your own in order to get a more firm understanding of tonight's episode. And if you enjoyed it, make sure to like, subscribe, and share with your friends. You can follow us on social media at A Breath of Fresh Air Pod on Instagram and BOFAPOD on Twitter. Thanks everyone, and we'll see you next week.